Oh, what is the upskeet, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXHockeyCast. We're on episode 92, Evgeny Kuznetsov, of My Little Hockey Show, where once a week I go through all of the major news and what's happenings in the NHL, mainly focusing in on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames. Those are my two favorite teams, but I'll be talking about all 32 teams in this league. So what do we got to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Who is going to be the starting goaltender for them? We got the Nashville Predators, arguably the hottest team in the league. Is Atlanta coming back to the NHL for a third try? And the Buffalo Sabres, yet again, trying to make a late playoff push. Is it too little, too late? Well, let's just get in there. Let's talk about these Buffalo Sabres, because you know what? They did this shit last year. Got everybody riled up, myself included. I had Buffalo making the playoffs this season. They only missed the playoffs last year by 1 point. They seemed to get a little bit better. They made some additions on the blue line, adding in Eric Johnson for some veteran leadership. The big question mark on this team heading into the offseason, heading into this season, was the goaltending. Yes, on paper, it looks like it could maybe be one of the best in a long time. You got Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, you got Devin Levi, two very young, highly touted young goaltending prospects. Devin Levi, probably a little bit higher on that prospecting range. He is a 7th round pick, but he has just exploded as an amazing prospect that came out of Florida, got him in the Sam Reinhart deal, and yeah, all this pressure and all these expectations were placed on Devin Levi and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen to carry this team, the Buffalo Sabres, to a playoff spot for the first time in 11 years now? I can't even keep track. It's been so freaking long. So that's a huge amount of pressure and to put on to a young man's plate. So even though Devin Levi, he has this great attitude, always got a smile on his face, seems like an awesome dude. Like I'm a fan of him. Sure, I like pretty much, if you're a goaltender, I'm going to be a fan of you. I love goaltenders, but he seems really awesome. And yeah, he looks like he can be the future of the Buffalo Sabres, but they're putting their chips in on him. The only thing they had for a backup with goaltending outside of those two young guys was Eric Comrie, who had not had a great season at all with the Buffalo Sabres, having a bad year again this season, which sucks because I thought Eric Comrie, coming off of an awesome backup goaltending season in Winnipeg, I thought maybe he would be able to grab the opportunity by the nuts and squeeze those nuts until they explode and he becomes a bona fide starter. That didn't happen. So now, Buffalo this season, just out of the gate, didn't look good, man. A lot of the players that were having amazing seasons last year, like Thompson and Tuck, they were off to slow starts. Other guys that have been pitching in other seasons, like Olofsson, just hasn't been pitching in as much as you would want. I can't remember if it was Peterka. I think Peterka's the one that jumped this year. He was having a good season, and it was the Cousins. I think his Cousins was the one that just struggling this year, and he had such an awesome breakout season last year, and yeah, he wasn't able to replicate that this year. You know, Kyle Okposo's another year older. Dahlin, is he going to be able to replicate what he did last year? And mostly, yes, he's been very good again this season. Owen Power, maybe he didn't take as big of a noticeable step, but he's still a good young defensive prospect. And yeah, man, there's a lot of things on the Buffalo Sabres that I really enjoy, like Alex Tuck. I mean, the hometown guy, loved to be there. He kind of seemed to rally everybody when he got there, and Buffalo got good out of the whole Jack Eichel situation. And yeah, man, last season really left us, I feel like 90% of NHL fans were like, you know what? I think Buffalo can do it. They were so close last year. They looked so good. Thompson looked like he was Mario Lemieux at points sometimes last year. Dahlin was Norris level at points, and yeah, they really just needed to figure out the goaltending, and on paper, it looked really good, but it just didn't work out this year. They had injuries. They had, like I said, underperforming. The only guy that really seemed to have a good year this season and last was Casey Middlestat, and he gone. So no more Casey Middlestat. They make that huge deal. Bring in Bowen Byram, who, by the way, has scored 3 goals in his first 3 games as the Sabres, with the Sabres. So that's been a sweet fit for him so far. I'm very happy for Bowen Byram. And these are the trades that I enjoy the most, where it's a hockey trade. Both teams have a need. They both have what the other wants, and they make a trade, and both teams end up benefiting from it. Bowen Byram, it didn't look like he was going to he didn't fit into the long-term plans for the Colorado Avalanche. They're already very strong on defense. Bowen Byram was going to get paid at some point. He was going to be making a lot of money, and Colorado just didn't seem to feel like they were going to be able to hang on to him. So let's trade him now, get something that we need, that second-line center that they've been dying for years now since Kadri left. And Casey Middlestat has been good for the Colorado Avalanche so far. Is he as good as Kadri was? No, not necessarily, but it's very, very, very early. He's only played a handful of games, and I think he's got like 3-4 points, so he's doing fine. But I'm not going to get suckered into what the Buffalo Sabres are doing right now. They're playing great. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has arguably been one of the best goaltenders over the last, who knows, man. It's like him and Samsonov, which is like really wild to say. Like the Toronto Maple Leaf goaltender and the Buffalo Sabres goaltenders have been probably top 5 goalies in the league since the new year. So really impressive what Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has done in 44 games. He's got 23, 17, and 3 record, a .915 save percentage with 5 shutouts, which is well above league average right now. I think league average goaltending is probably around a .905, .907, .915. I'm very happy with that. He's turned his season around from a pretty rocky start. And then you got Devin Levi, 20 games played, a .972 record, .330 goals against average, and an .891 save percentage. So pretty sub .900 save percentage, not what you're looking for. And, you know, I haven't been watching every Buffalo game, not looking at every interview that Devin Levi is having, but I'm hoping that he is dealing with this turbulence fine. I know there was so much expectations on this kid that he's going to come in and be Patrick Waugh for us and take us to the finals and win the cup, but that's not always reality. So it may take a little bit longer for Devin Levi to come around. Will he ever hit that ceiling that everyone expects him to hit? Goalies are the hardest to judge, man. Honestly, who knows? Eric Comrie could be their starter next year because he just ends up playing the best. That's just how goaltending goes, but at least right now, they have Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen playing very good. Now, can he transition this great play to next season at the beginning of the season where the Buffalo Sabres seem to struggle the most? They need a hot start out of the gate to get some good momentum, and because it seems like the team gets bogged down, like really, and I don't blame them for it, but they get bogged down by some early losses in the season. It's, oh fuck, here we go again. I understand that could be really easy to fall into that, but I heard an interview with Alex Tuck this week, and even he said, like, you know, I can see that, you know, this team, this year, we didn't have it. They're still the youngest team in the league. That's what Tuck said, that they're still the youngest league. Still looks like a very young team, yes, absolutely. And they just have some more things to learn, man. Like, it doesn't always happen overnight, like with the Leafs, where we go into a rebuild, you get Matthews, and then the next year you're in the playoffs already, and it seems like everything's going well, but you know, me as a Leaf fan, I can tell you, Buffalo Sabres fan, it's not all smooth sailings over here in Toronto. We just had a really good start, that's all. But with Buffalo, man, like, I was more encouraged the way that they were playing last year, and what really kind of makes me wave the red flag about what's going on with the Sabres right now is that they're doing this in the back half of the season where, you know, their season's pretty much done, at least in the eyes of a lot of their opponents. They're like, Buffalo, they're 10 points back, yada, 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 which they are not 10 points back anymore, I'll tell you that. But I would have to imagine that teams are playing down to these guys right now because they're like, they're no threat to us and our standings. They're a lower end team, bottom 10 in the league kind of deal. And I feel like some teams are taking them a little bit lightly. And Buffalo right now, trying to prove to their fan base, trying to prove to management, to themselves that, hey, we are good enough. They're still playing hard and they're picking up wins right now, it's good, but if I was a Sabres fan, I would be very annoyed. I'd be like, here we go again. Like, it's already too late. You know, I know it's not 100% too late, but it's very much so not in Buffalo's hands to get in there. I would say, hold on, let's just take a look at these wild cards right now. So at least in the East, I still need to catch the Islanders and Detroit, who has been free falling. All those teams have games in hands on Buffalo. Not many, but 1 to 2 games in hand. And the teams they're catching, so they're the closest team is the Islanders. They got 73 points. Buffalo has 71. Detroit 74. We know that they are free falling, just completely blowing up their season right now. Like, really, really sad to see. And then the Washington Capitals, for some reason, they're still lingering around. They're on a 3-game winning streak right now. I'm recording this on Tuesday, before any of the hockey games are going down. I won't be able to record Wednesday when this is going live because I'm not in town today. So I'm recording right now. So if things are different, my apologies. But Washington is in the final wildcard spot, which is wild to me. Tampa Bay, they're getting back in there. They're playing good right now with us after the trade deadline. They're doing pretty well. I feel pretty damn strong at this point that Tampa's going to make it in there. And then you got your Metropolitan top 3, which is Philly, Carolina, and New York. They're never going to catch the Rangers or Carolina. It's just not going to happen. 90 and 94 points, so nope, not happening. Philadelphia has 76 points, so I mean, it's tough, man. Like, that's it. Even if 2 points is even a pretty big amount of points to catch up to, but thankfully, what Buffalo has in their favor right now is that Detroit and the Islanders are both fucking sinking right now. Last week we talked about the Islanders being on a hot streak, but that hot streak just ended, and I warned, hey, you got to watch out. I've warned of this numerous times. When you go on a winning streak, watch out for that losing streak to follow, and the Islanders have fallen right into that. They're on a 4-game losing streak right now, which has opened the door for the Sabres, who are winning right now. They're winning a lot of games. So maybe at best they can pass the Islanders, maybe even pass Detroit. 4 points behind Washington. Washington is still just such an anomaly to me. I have no idea how they're winning games. Ovi's got 20 goals. I was supposed to talk about that later, but Ovi got 20 goals. I guess we'll talk about it more in detail later. But it's, I would have some optimism if I was a Buffalo Sabres fan. I feel like if you're still a Sabres fan at this point, you're probably filled with optimism. You gotta be a pretty easygoing person to deal with this shit. But, the door's open. It's not closed and locked just yet, but I wouldn't be, putting my house on there to guarantee the Buffalo Sabres making it into the playoffs. I want the Sabres over, I don't know if I want them over Detroit, but definitely over Tampa, Washington, the Islanders, even Philadelphia. Like, I want Detroit and Buffalo in there over the other teams. Detroit had it. They blew it. Could Buffalo capitalize? Maybe it is in their hands at this point because you really got to get that luck with the other teams fucking up, and it's happening right now. So maybe I can be sold on the Sabres making a late push. They got 10 plus 4 is 14 or so, 14 more games left. So again, other teams have games in hand. It's going to be interesting, man. Like, what I thought was going to be a pretty quiet run to the playoffs. Looks like teams were kind of solidified. The East is fucking wide open right now. Like, any of these teams could fall out. I mean, you got Pittsburgh and New Jersey there. They're at 69, 68 points, but I feel like their door's pretty closed as well. Like, Buffalo is about as close as you can get to being out, but the door's still open just enough. So they got a bank that the Islanders and Detroit continue to lose, and somehow Washington stops winning. Like, I don't even know what's going on with Washington. Very, very interesting. Curious to hear what you guys think about the Buffalo Sabres right now. Is this team a paper tiger? Just, even if they make it into the playoffs, what? You're going to draw, I don't know, Boston, the Rangers, like Carolina, Florida. One of those, I think, it'd be Rangers or Carolina, I think. So, yeah, do you think you're probably going to end up getting swept by one of them? Maybe you can surprise the Rangers. Right now, I don't think Carolina is fucking around. I think they would obliterate the Buffalo Sabres, but I don't know, man. Like, I think it would be worth it to at least break that curse, end the streak of over a decade of not making playoffs. I think the Sabres could gun for it, and they might be very motivated at this point to do it. If you're looking at the standings, if like there probably are, you're looking at Detroit and the Islanders fumbling, there's a chance. There is actually a chance now that I have looked at it, which is alarming. That's very wild. So the East is still pretty open. So Detroit Islanders, get your shit together and figure it out. Let's take a look at the Western Conference wildcard spots. It's a little bit of a different story here, but the doors are still technically open for St. Louis, Minnesota, and not Calgary. I can't really give it to Calgary now. 71 points for Calgary, and your next wild card is 79 points, and that's the Vegas Golden Knights, who loaded up at the trade deadline and have won their 3 of their last 4 games. So yeah, they're doing good, and St. Louis has won 4 in a row here, so they're not going away just yet. So I would be a little bit, uncomfortable if I was Vegas. They could easily catch up. No one's touching the central top 3 right now. Winnipeg, Colorado, and Dallas, they're in a fight between each other. All 3 are tied at 91 points apiece, so they're stacked. Colorado is on fire right now, though, so it looks like Colorado could potentially walk away with the division championship. That could absolutely happen. Same story with Vancouver. They got a really good lead on the Pacific Division, 92 points. Edmonton next closest, 84 points. So pretty damn good lead there for Vancouver, as they're still... I know Vancouver fans are very, very nervous because they're not playing as good as they were at the beginning of the year, and things seem all fucked up since they brought Lindholm in, but Vancouver's at least going to the playoffs comfortably right now, I have to say. But with the other teams, so Nashville, we know they're on fire. They got this absolutely insane point streak going on right now. They have gotten a point in every single game for, I think it's 15 straight games now. They have got at least one single point, and that's gotten them all the way back up to the top wildcard spot. And they got a pretty nice lead right there, 82 points. St. Louis has 75, so that's a pretty comfortable spot to be as the Nashville Predators. And yeah, they got to be feeling really good right now. They look, I wouldn't say unstoppable, but they look fucking good, man. Like, I would be terrified of playing the Nashville Predators in the first round right now. Maybe it's like Nashville, Colorado, the hottest teams in the league right now, but Nashville has not been losing very much lately, so they're on fire. Doesn't look like it's stopping yet. Los Angeles continues to kind of putter along. They're hanging in there, but if St. Louis can keep this up, Minnesota, they really want it. I think they're motivated by Marc-Andre Fleury. They want to get it for him. Maybe they want to do it for Bill Guerin and the job that he's done and this really crazy salary cap that Minnesota has gotten themselves into. So, yeah, I would say St. Louis and Minnesota have a chance, but I just can't see anyone passing Vegas at this point now. Vegas is that team. I know they did miss the playoffs before, and they got all these injuries, but with all those additions, man, I feel like they're going to have to make the playoffs. I think they'll do anything in their power to do that and make it there, but still a race. There is still a race. I don't think it is completely solidified yet, but I would give the Eastern side a little bit more of a shot at getting changed up quite a bit over the West. The West, I wouldn't be shocked if this is what it is right here with Winnipeg, Colorado, Dallas, Vancouver, Edmonton, Los Angeles, Nashville, and Vegas. I think that is probably going to be your Western teams making it into the playoffs. I mean, I was rooting for St. Louis. I thought they could have had a nice bounce-back season, which I guess in ways they did. I mean, at least the goaltending looked good this year. That was nice to see. It's just been, not an excellent season for St. Louis, but Nashville's insane point streak continues. How much longer can it go? I mean, they got the Sharks up next, so I'm not going to say that's a guarantee win, but it should be pretty damn good for them to make it through there. And at this point, now, I'm not good at seeing I don't really understand how the playoff seeding works right now, but if we're starting the playoffs today, I think it would be Nashville versus Colorado. Is that how that works? Anyway, if I was Colorado, I would be pissed. I would be so pissed off if I drew Nashville. And I think if this ended today, would that mean Winnipeg is playing Vegas? I don't know. I don't know how the playoff bracket works. It's very confusing to me, but pretty interesting wild card situation. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how it goes down the stretch. I think it was wasn't it last year we were pretty much solidified by January what everything was going to be, and at this point with the Leafs, I don't think they can catch Boston. They're 10 points behind Boston, 9 points behind Florida. Could someone catch Toronto? I mean, yeah, Tampa could catch Toronto. They're pretty far behind. Toronto's been one of the hotter teams in the league as well, whether I think so or not. I mean, those Boston games really did some damage. Watching those, man, like that did not like what I saw out of the Toronto Maple Leafs in those games. I mean, yes, I've seen some pretty good things in some other games here, but and by the way, that Carolina overtime loss, fucking unbelievable right there. Just not good, man, and that's the kind of shit when you blow leads like that. You can't win in the playoffs, man. You have to be able to hold on to a lead, and that's like the Leafs' kryptonite. When they have a lead to hold, it's almost a fucking guarantee that that team is going to tie it up, and then it's like a 60-40, 60% chance that the Leafs are going to blow it in overtime. Like, sometimes they can fucking save themselves from massive embarrassment. We think about, like, the Columbus series and how much worse that could have been if they didn't have some. I mean, that's the opposite. They had comeback wins there, but the Leafs can't hold a freaking lead to save their lives, and they just continue, especially against the better teams. Like, when I see them blow it against the Carolinas, it's like, I can't see them holding a lead against any team here. I can't see them holding a lead against Boston because they've never been able to do it before. I can't see them holding a lead against Florida because Florida's just going to wear them down. I can't see them holding a lead against Tampa Bay because I can already see it now. Lyubushkin's going to do a spinorama at the blue line for no reason, and that's going to not happen. If they happen to pull Washington, Ovechkin's going to wake up, and that's that. So yeah, I'm still feeling very unoptimistic about the Toronto Maple Leafs heading into the playoffs. That's just how it is when you've been a Leaf fan for most of your life. You're not going to necessarily be the most optimistic person towards the team. But in terms of things that are going pretty decently with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I mean, we got to start with Samsonov, right? I mean, this guy has been phenomenal. He has been outstanding. He's currently on a 7 straight road winning streak. I think that is still active right here, unless overtime lost. I don't know if that is still going after Carolina. Anyway, I mean, he did win 7 straight road games. That's huge. Like, you got to be able, I mean, you don't have to be able to win on the road, but if you are the Toronto Maple Leafs, looks like we're going to have to win on the road because we're coming in. We're going to be the away team coming in, it looks like. So yeah, winning on the road is always important. Especially if you're going to be playing Boston, where it's almost impossible to win in their home barn, you're going to want to try your best to get those road wins. We know how crucial those can be in playoff series. People still believe, you're not out of a series until you lose at home. So we'll see how that goes. But Samsonov has been one of the best goaltenders in the league since the new year. I mean, his numbers have been amazing. If you look at his numbers now, they don't look that great. But if you look at him over the last month, the guy is like Vezina caliber. He's been outstanding. So this is great. And what a fucking job by the Leafs there for when they brought Sammy down and demoted him to the AHL. They did that perfectly. I think they knew exactly what they were doing. Yeah, teams in the league, probably at other points, if they did it at certain other times throughout this season, Samsonov probably would have gotten claimed by somebody, but they did it at a point where he was absolutely terrible, doing it at a time where, 70% of the league are right up against it with the salary cap, so they sent him down there. No one touched him. I felt very confident at the time when they did it. I didn't think he was going anywhere. I thought it would have been crazy if someone picked up Samsonov at that point, and it worked. It absolutely worked. Like, that kind of shit, with the Leafs rarely works, but they sent him down. It seemed to wake up Samsonov. He came back, and he's been lights out since that happened. So now it's going to be really interesting. The way that Samsonov has played over the last month and a half, 2 months, is this guy going to be the day one starter in the playoffs, or are they going to go with Joseph Woll still, who, yeah, he has the better numbers on paper, but he was injured forever. He was just gone, and I didn't know if we're ever going to see him again, but he's back now. He's played okay. He's not playing as good as he was at the beginning of the year, which is fairly common when you've missed that much hockey. Not a big surprise that he's not lights out like he was, but there's still time for him to win back the net. But I wonder, right now, if the playoffs started today, we're starting Samsonov, right? I mean, you kind of have to. The guy's been pretty freaking awesome, but I wouldn't give him a big leash or anything. I don't think Samsonov, if he gets blown out in the first game, like Leafs lose 5-1, I would go to Woll next. Like, I don't know if you should really go with more chances than that. Samsonov can quickly get into that rut, and when he's in that rut, who knows how long it's going to take him to get out of it. It's usually longer than short. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be a really tough call. Going to have to watch and see how these goaltenders play down the stretch. I mean, could Martin Jones maybe steal it? I don't think so at this point. I mean, I thank him so much for what he did for the Leafs this year. He basically saved our season, but I mean, it's going to be, at this point, I think it's it's definitely in Sammy's favor right now. How can it not be the way that he's played? But I still think they want Joseph Woll to be the guy going in there. He just seems more confident. He seems calmer. It looks like things don't get to him as easy as they do with Samsonov, but Samsonov's playing lights out right now. So very curious to see who the Leafs end up using as their starting goaltender once the playoffs start. And also, what is going on with Marner and this high ankle sprain? I hope they're not doing this fucking Joseph Woll thing again, where they're like, he'll be like a week or something, and then like 7 years later, okay, he's back. Actually, turns out he was battling testicular cancer or something. It's like, what the fuck? But as of right now, anyway, Marner is not going to travel with the Leafs on the road trip, and with the lack of Marner in the lineup, we're definitely seeing some problems with the penalty kill. There's been some issues there. It has not been very good. And yeah, we're definitely missing Marner right now. And people are starting to bring up that, the Leafs would suck if they traded Marner away. It's like, well, if you traded Marner away and didn't get anything back, yeah, the team's going to be worse. But if they actually made a fucking hockey trade and traded Marner for a good asset back, then maybe they would be a better team. I don't know. But just the thought, like, let's just say the trade is perfectly out there. We got this right-handed shot defenseman, top two defenseman that can play all positions and do everything instead of Marner playing defense when he's a right winger. I don't know. Maybe then the Leafs would have gotten better. But yeah, right now without Marner in the lineup, the Leafs aren't as good as they would be with him in there. I don't think that's fucking rocket science to say, but yeah. Missing Marner right now. I obviously, no doubt. But if that defenseman ever falls into our lap and they're like, we want Marner for it, I'm still probably pulling that trigger. I'm just saying. I prefer defense over offense anyway. But yeah, we're definitely missing Marner out there right now. Matthews probably missing him. Like, I don't have my boy fucking putting that puck right on the fucking button so I can just keep ripping in my goals. Leafs are going to be playing Philadelphia tonight. And I'm wondering if they're going to do the Ryan Reeves on the power play again. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but listen to this. Ryan Reeves is massive. No one moves that man. Like, if you stick him in front of the net, just create the blocking of the vision, a screen, put him in there, and just fucking have him open up the lanes, do whatever you got, smash in the rebounds, because no one's moving that guy. I think they could find some success with that. I'll never forget when the Bruins did it to us in 2013 during that magical Game 7, where they shoved Zdeno Chara, 900 feet tall man, in front of the net, and the goalie couldn't see anything, and they scored the easiest goals. All they had to do was get it on net from the blue line, and that it's going in. I don't think Revo is as effective, but I think he could be effective, and they played with it, and it looked pretty decent to me. But I wonder if they're ever going to, I don't know if that would ever be something they want all the time, but maybe if the situation calls for it, throw Revo in front of the net, and good luck moving him. They could find some good success there. And speaking of finding success there, will Atlanta have a third team come to their city, and will it work this time? Third time's the charm, they always say. So we're getting some real momentum behind this idea of Atlanta getting a hockey team yet again. So, I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't know. The thing that's kind of confusing right now is that they have, like, two different parties that are trying to get a team in Atlanta. One in one area and one in a different area. One has Anson Carter and the other doesn't. So I'll probably go with the Anson Carter side because he played for Team Canada and that was badass. But sure, I could see an Atlanta team working in Atlanta as long as you have the proper people in charge of the fucking organization, which they had nincompoops in charge of the Atlanta team last time they were there. And people are joking about it now. They're like, yeah, absolutely, bring in Atlanta for the third time, because every time Atlanta comes to the NHL, they end up leaving, and the NHL gets a Canadian team as a reward out of it. So the first time Atlanta left, you got the Calgary Flames. Second time Atlanta left, you got the Winnipeg Jets back. So the theory is, if Atlanta comes back this time, they're gonna move those motherfuckers to Quebec City, and we're getting the Nordiques back, motherfuckers. Yes, finally. All right, we're all in. It's gonna happen. Might take a minute. Might take a firing or two and some financial decisions that are a little bit questionable, but we just might be on our track to getting the Nordiques back, and oh baby, would I ever love it. I know it's crazy that, saying that a Quebec team probably wouldn't work. It's tough, man, because I know people think that it's a huge market. It's a hardcore market, but it's not that big. And that's why they're pushing teams like Atlanta and Houston and Portland, because there's a lot of fucking people there, man. There's a lot of people, way more people. And even if people aren't as interested in hockey per percentile of a square foot or whatever, in fucking 4 feet by 4 feet in Montreal, you're going to have yourselves at least 7.5 hockey fans in that square unit. Over here, and in Houston's probably 5, but there's also 500 people more in that little square than in Montreal. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, a lot more people in America. There's so many more. In Canada, we're all fucking here in Ontario. We're all fucking stuck here in Ontario. And no, Ontario won't get another team. It's not going to happen. At least I can't see it, because Toronto won't let it happen, man. We're the Kings here, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nobody's taking that from us. Fuck you, Ottawa. You're trying. I see you over there trying to be on our borders, but no, they're in Ottawa. That's different. But yeah, man, I mean, sure, bring in another team. I don't care. I don't think that the league would get watered down. I'm still of the belief that there are tons more NHL caliber players playing in the minors right now, playing overseas, that we can have fill out a couple of NHL teams and them be just fine. Look at Vegas, look at Seattle, look how well they have done in their expansion. They've done well. Vegas has won a cup already, or tied for the fastest in expansion history. Seattle's done well for themselves. I mean, yeah, they've only made the playoffs one time in their 2 years, but that's fine. Way better than teams like Vancouver and Buffalo, who have still not won a Stanley Cup in their franchise's history in over 40 some odd years or whatever it's been. Not as long as the Leafs, but still a long time. So, yeah, curious to hear what you guys think of the prospect of Atlanta coming back into the league. It wasn't Atlanta, the city's fault. It was the management's fault. It was the poor running of the team. It was the lack of success. So, yeah, I think at this point, teams and people are going to be more motivated to actually have success there. And you're going to need to have that success, because we've seen what happens if you're an expansion team. You come in here and you have zero success. You really have no plans of being successful. You're kind of just keeping your head above water. Yeah, it's not going to work out, but if you look at how well it's gone for Vegas and Seattle, you got to be like, yeah, dude, this could work this time here in Atlanta. But I don't know if it's going to be Atlanta first that gets a team. It still feels like it's Houston, and I guess we can kind of mention the Arizona thing. Not really much new on that front, other than that they are going to be doing an auction, I think, for land in July, and that's pretty much the last we're going to hear about it, because if they don't get it done then, Arizona's fucking gone. That's it. They won't have a place to go. They still don't have anything set in place. This is literally their last Hail Mary trying to get this land. It's not a guarantee. We'll find out in the summertime. And then that's that. So that's why all these teams, all these other cities right now are lining up. Like, please come over here, because if you can get a team to relocate, you save so much more money than you would buying a new franchise tag. Yeah, if relocate, I don't know what the number would be, but it would definitely not be $1 billion to shift the Arizona Coyotes to Houston, to Portland, to wherever the fuck they're going. It's not going to cost that much. It's going to cost multiple hundreds of millions of dollars, yes, but it's, if you're going to save $500 million, I would be foaming at the mouth for it too. So I understand why there's a lot of interest in Arizona just fucking packing it up and leaving now, and let it rest for a little bit and then try again another time. Look, Atlanta, they're going to get their third freaking shot at it. So who's to say Coyotes can't get it done? Because they're of the belief that it could work. There's a ton of people there. Arizona's a hot spot of growth, and yeah, man, I mean, yeah, it does. I understand why they think it's going to work, and again, you just got to have better management. You got to have a better plan in place, and not play in a college arena for 5 years and still have no plan in place 3 years into this fucking arena thing. So yeah, the Arizona Coyotes continue to be extremely frustrating. I feel for their fans. However many of you are left over there, I mean, it's been awful. Just gotta be awful. And I even had the prospect of I can't say that I'm like an outward fan of Arizona, but I just really respect not the organization, just the existence of the Arizona Coyotes and the people that rally behind them, the great players that came out of there, the team that they currently have. I'm a fan of that team, man. Like Krause, Schmaltz, fuck yeah, I love those guys. Keller's one of the most underrated players. Love that player. God damn it. So here's to hoping that it actually gets done. It's a Hail Mary, so that means it's probably not going to work. So again, don't bet your house on it that the Arizona Coyotes or whatever, they're going to remain in Arizona. It's a really, really good shot that it's not going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. But what we don't have to wait for anymore is the announcement that Wayne Simmonds is in fact retiring and calling it a career. But we're not done there. He's going to sign a 1-day contract with the Philadelphia Flyers and retire as a Flyer. And I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm a Leaf fan. I'm not sour about that, not even slightly. Even though Wayne is he's not from Toronto. I think he's from Scarborough, but he's from the area, you know what I'm saying? So I think it was just great to have him here in Toronto. It was great. Did it go the way we all wanted it to? No. Wayne was great until he hurt his hand, and then it just kind of never really got going, but he was always a great guy to have there. I love Wayne Simmonds. But yeah, man, he's a Flyer through and through. That's where he found the most success. I think he was drafted by Los Angeles and then moved to Philadelphia, but he was a hell of a Flyer. Like a 30-30 guy, like a 30-goal, 30-assist kind of power forward. Some of my favorite style of players, like a guy that just an animal, a truck, and he was never the biggest guy, but he was tough as fuck. He was like 5'10", 5'11", 180 pounds, not much bigger than me, and I fucking can barely knock out a pillow, so I don't know. Wayne Simmonds, man, congratulations, awesome career. Not going in the Hall of Fame or anything, but he's going in the Hall of Fame of me because I like that guy. And man, if I see a Wayne Simmonds Leaf jersey for like upwards to $50, I'll buy one because I freaking love Wayne Simmonds. That guy is awesome. All the veterans that the Leafs have brought in, Joe Thornton, Spezza, Marleau borderline, he pissed me off because how much money he made and the first round pick we had to give up to get rid of him, which became Seth Jarvis. Most of the old guys were pretty fucking cool, man. Spezza is my favorite, but I think Wayno is probably a close second, maybe third place with Jumbo, but that was some good times, man. Congratulations, Wayne, and just fantastic that he's going to sign that 1-day contract. That's some good shit. Speaking of good shit, we got, not so good. Okay, let's do the not good shit because we're still talking about Flyer stuff. Sean Couturier was healthy scratch the other day, which is alarming. Very alarming, in fact. Now, I don't even think that was John Tortorella's idea because he's suspended still, right? Regardless, what the fuck is going on over there in Philadelphia? I thought Sean Couturier, new captain of the team, finally back from injury, really part of the reason why the Flyers were able to turn it around this season. Getting a guy like that back in their lineup really does wonders, but getting a healthy scratch. Now, I am of the mind, now I know I've heard that Sean Couturier was very upset about this, not happy about it, and don't blame him. You're the captain of the team. You don't want to be getting healthy scratched. Kind of a bad look, but he's the kind of guy that I think he's probably going to come back. If he's out there on the waiver wire, you might want to pick him up because he's probably going to score a couple goals in his next game. So keep an eye out on that. I can't really see Couturier getting too many more scratches like that after probably a good wake-up call for him. But, yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. But, is there a little bit of animosity building with Philadelphia? Also, the weird story with Ryan Johansson coming there. And there's like bad blood between Ryan Johansson and Tortorella and Ryan Johansson's agent from the Columbus days. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that Johansson was over there during the Tortorella time and they did not get along with each other. And right now they're in a really awkward position, right? Because like obviously they didn't want Johansson on the team necessarily. So they sent him down to the minors, but he can't go down to the minors yet because he's still injured. So like, is Tortorella walking in the meetings and like Johansson's just sitting there like mucking a bagel, like, what's up, Tortorella? How you doing, fuckface? I don't know what kind of relationship they have, but interesting that that's not working out, and that's just. You would figure in a professional setting that maybe these two guys would have hashed it out by now, maybe talked about it and been like, yo, like maybe we can have a new fucking future here. I don't know, but that was some interesting stuff. I heard a lot about that story over this last week, and yeah, it is a little bit interesting. But what is more interesting is what is going on in Edmonton. Connor frickin' Brown, everybody, scored his first goal of the season. And he's gone a very long time without scoring a goal. He finally did it. Did it go off of him and in and a fluke nature? Maybe, but we're not worried about that. Connor Brown scored a goal, and the Edmonton fans, you guys are so awesome. You give him a huge standing ovation, even throw some hats down for the guy. And no, I don't think they were being mean to him in like a trolling nature. I think they genuinely like this player, like this guy, and just really appreciate that he's going out there every game, grinding it out, got no fucking points, and he's still doing it, and bam, he gets that point, and that was probably the most beautiful thing I saw this week. That was so awesome. I forget who scored the hat trick prior, but probably McDavid. I don't know, but so happy for Connor Brown, man. Like, he was one of the Leafs that that one hurt when he left. I understood it when it happened because we were so loaded on the wing, but he was the guy that was like, oh, man, like, not Connor Brown. I like that guy. And then he went off and had really good success, but then the injury stuff started happening, and yes, he signed this big contract making a lot of money, and it was like very confusing why Edmonton held on to him, but maybe this is why they held on to him. He's a great guy, great locker room kind of guy, great story to have, and just a guy you want to play your ass off for, maybe. I don't know, but regardless, such a great thing for Connor Brown to get that first goal. That is awesome. Speaking of awesome, the Dallas Stars have unveiled a Mike Modano statue, and that's pretty freaking cool. I mean, the first thing that sadly always has to come up when I think about Mike Modano is him playing his whole career with the Minnesota North Stars / Dallas Stars, and then the last minute he's like, I'm a Red Wing now, and Babcock fucked him over so bad. He should have, I think he's at 1,499 games. He should be at 1,500. Babcock kept benching him. And yeah, this is like kind of the stories that people will tell players who are thinking about leaving their lifelong team, like Crosby or something. Like, what if Colorado puts you on the fourth line? I don't know. But yeah, man, really good to see that Mike Modano getting a statue. Apparently it's really nice looking as well. Can't say that I have gone out and looked at it myself, but really cool, man. He's one of the best, if not the best American forward of all time currently. It's going to be Austin Matthews. We all know that at some point, but that's wicked, man. Really cool to see Mike Modano getting that. Really good player. And we'll finish it off with some Washington news. We got TJ Oshie hit his 1,000th game this week. Congratulations. Really like TJ Oshie, man. He's just a really good, solid player. Likes to show up at the big moments. And, of course, we're always going to remember TJ Sochi, where he just went and tore it up in the shootout. Just could not be stopped. And, yeah, man, a really good career for him. He's been dealing with injury problems off and on for a little bit here, but when he's in the lineup and healthy for Washington, he's a really good member of the team. I mean, I always end up picking him up when he pops up in the waiver wire when he's healthy, because I'm like, he's always good to get some points in there. He's a good player. I mean, that would have been an amazing addition for a team going on a playoff run, like to have a TJ Oshie in there. That would be good. That would be good. And I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Alexander Ovechkin hit his 19th straight 20-goal season for Alexander Ovechkin. I can only imagine there's only a handful of people that can say that they have done that. And Ovechkin, yes, he is on the slowest goal-scoring pace of his career. He hasn't scored this little goals since the lockout-shortened season a few years ago, where he only had like 24 goals in 50-something games. Right now, he's got 21 in 60-something games. And He's still having a good season though. Like he's under a little under a point a game for 38, 39 years old. Fuck, not freaking bad at all. And it looks like he's turning it on a little bit here again. He's got 3 goals in his last 2 games, scored a couple on our Dustin Wolf over there in Calgary. And I guess since I mentioned Calgary, we should probably talk about Calgary just a little bit on this podcast, since I did say they were my favorite team and all, but Dustin Wolf's been getting starts lately, which is really good. He is apparently going to be the goaltender of the future, and I can kind of confirm that because I have been playing NHL 24, and Dustin Wolf gets pretty freaking good, and he is currently the goaltender for the Calgary Flames in 2027 or something. Anyway, yeah, man. Like I said, I've been off the playoff train, bus, truck, whatever, for quite some time now with this team. And they're just putting along. I mean, I'm very happy with Igor Sharangovich. He's been even better than I was expecting he was going to be. He's going to hit 30 goals, man, with this team, and he has been an excellent addition. I would say at this point, the Flames won that trade, man. Like, everyone was giving Sharangovich so much shit and the Flames so much shit. I was all about this trade. I thought it was a fantastic trade. I thought Igor Sharangovich was going to be maybe a 20, 25 goal scorer, but he's going to hit 30 this year. Can he do that every season from here on out? Who knows, but he's playing really good. Coleman's kind of slowed down a little bit. Kadri's still plowing along pretty good, in and around a point-a-game player, but we all know it's Huberdeau, and the disappointment that is Huberdeau's season again this year. I can't even really call it okay because he makes so much money. 67 games, 43 points, only 9 goals, 34 assists, and he's a blistering -19, which is the worst on the team by quite a bit. So that's really bad. Now, if the Flames could do what I did in my hockey GM mode, I just dumped off Huberdeau to, I think I dumped him off on Anaheim, and I took McTavish off their hands. So yeah, obviously that would never happen in real life, but yeah, man, this Huberdeau thing is a fucking disaster. Really, really, really bad. But at least some other guys here had some good seasons. Like Kadri was able to bring it around. Sharangovich has been awesome. Mackenzie Weegar also having a pretty good season. He has 16 goals right now, which that is really, really good for a defenseman. Could he hit 20 goals? I mean, he just might be able to hit 20 goals, and that is really, really good for a defenseman. So yeah, there's some bright spots on this team, but not very many, I must say. At least Oliver Shillington is in there. He's up to 5 points now in 21 games. Not bad at all. But yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say this team is not going to make the playoffs. Probably shouldn't, and they should have traded Markstrom, who's hurt now and not even playing. So should have traded him away now. Now he's going to probably come back, not play very good, and his trade value is going to go down. You're not going to get the kind of package that you were going to get if you traded him at the height of his powers. God damn it. I'm never going to get over that. But anyway, so they are doing the GM meetings right now in Florida. There's a couple of things that I've been hearing. They are talking about a couple of rule change possibilities. One in particular I think they are actually going to be changing is the fact that when players have their legs over the boards during changes and stuff, they're going to make that, like, can't do that no more because a referee got cut by a skate this week because of that. So that's going to get a change. I'm guessing that's going to happen next season. I don't know if they're going to implement any of this stuff throughout this season. They usually don't do that. Apparently, there will not be any changes to the 3-on-3 overtime, which is a little bit disappointing. I will say that I think it was the Leafs-Carolina overtime. That was one of the best overtimes I've seen in a while, where it was actually like just back and forth, chance for chance, odd man rush. And yeah, that's great when it's going down like that. But then the other side of it, it's, just a team outweighting the other team to do a line change, and they're, just up the ice, back around, up and back, up and back, up and back. And I was hoping they would implement a over and back rule where it's like once you enter the zone, you cannot leave it. You can't go back, reset, and come back in. No, you would have to give up the puck, and that's that. Just to keep the flow of play going and to make it like actually hockey, not just skating around waiting for an opening and just which is a shame. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed that they weren't implementing anything like that for 3-on-3 overtime or any discussions about shootout possibility, getting that out of there, adding in more time for 3-on-3. So looks like they're completely happy and satisfied with the system that they have going on with that right now. And there are some discussions about possibilities of adding in a coach's challenge for penalties revolving around a player accidentally high-sticking his own player, or the puck over the glass, I believe, is the other one that they're talking about, possibly adding in another coach's challenge, which I don't like that idea. Just more reasons for the game to stop and to look at a screen to see if it was a millimeter this way or a millimeter that way. Like, I really don't care. I wish there should be, like, a lenience rule where, like, if it's super close, who cares? Like, honestly, I really don't care. And everyone's going to have that argument, oh, well, if it happens to the Toronto Maple Leafs and they lose the Stanley Cup because of it, well, then so fucking be it. I mean, it happened to the Buffalo Sabres. Foot was in the crease. Dallas still won, so I would not be shocked if the same thing happened to the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's just the way it is. But they're having their little conversations. I think they're more, just living the high life, taking a nice summer vacation in Florida, having some good eats, hanging out, playing some golf, and just being scumbags, basically. You know how that is. But there you go, everybody. I think that's everything that I want to talk about this week. Probably take a look at the stats and everything for next week, getting closer to the end of March, which means we're getting closer to the start of the playoffs. I can't wait. We still got to wait, though, until we get the final 16 teams or whatever to get into the playoffs. Which teams are those going to be? I don't know, but it could maybe be the Buffalo Sabres. Let me know. Do you think the Sabres will make it or not? There you go, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. You're awesome. Want to be even more awesome? Make sure you're reviewing the podcast, hitting the likes and the bells and whatever you have to do to help the little guy out over here. You want to do some even more helping, I upload all of these episodes to the YouTube channel, Gamer GX Videos. You can watch them over there, and a great place to drop a comment, ask a question about wrestling, video games, hockey. Doesn't matter. Send in a question. I'd love to read it live for you on the podcast, answer it, and that would be a lot of fun. You can also send in a question through the email, have a private conversation. That's totally fine as well. And I already said about the email, and there's Twitter. That's the other one. There is a Twitter page. I'll put up announcements as best as I can. What do we got planned for the rest of the week with the GX Plus cast? Well, tomorrow my wife and I are off to Toronto. We're going to see Dynamite, AEW Dynamite live. Going to watch Edge and Christian and an I Quit match. Going to be insane. And what I got for the GX Gamercast this week, it will be Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Going to be talking about that game. It was very, very hard, so there's going to be a lot of difficult boss fights we're going to be talking about, and yeah, that was a hell of a game. Can't wait to talk about it, but that'll probably be on Friday, and then your regular wrestling recap will be probably Sunday, might be Monday, so be on the lookout. Follow on Twitter, follow on YouTube, all that great stuff. Be back again, more GX Plus Cast.